time we have tight ends coach Michael Nysewander. Questions for Coach Nysewander? Greg?
Michael, so you got several new tight ends, or at least a couple, this summer that you're working with for the first time. So give us a little insight into Grayson, Ryan Ward. What are you seeing out of them in the early going?
Yep. So we had 7 guys in the spring, and now we've got 6. And those 2 new guys that you mentioned, the biggest thing was what's big now with the transfer portal and everything is you have these practices basically in the summer. We call them skill developments where, we can be more hands-on with them. So that time was good. That was a big, teaching time. And so once we hit camp, they kind of had a base of understanding of how we roll around here, and not just from a schematic standpoint, but from a, culture, work standpoint. So those 2 guys have done a great job. They've all done a great job. We've rotated them in there and got them different reps with different groups, and they're attacking it head on. They've been really good.
Not necessarily anybody in your room, 250, 260-pound guys, but are they strong enough, physical enough to do what you need to do at the position?
Yeah, absolutely. I think, when I was talking to you guys in the spring, I was talking about how the tight end position specifically in this offense is kind of used as a utility knife, and jack of all trades. And what we do have is speed, which is good. And to your point, they're willing enough and physical enough to be really successful in the run game, but have been impressed with the group as a whole and their speed.
You have some guys that could possibly play some fullback.
Yeah, it's funny because that title fullback is, a lot of our plays is like an old school fullback or whatnot. We kind of play in the sniffer position or the wing position or whatever you want to call it. So, there's a lot of schemes where those guys are doing what you call, fullback type plays. But it was funny when I first got here, the meeting rooms out there, they're labeled, and outside of my room it says tight end / fullback. And we were in a staff meeting early on, and Coach Rodriguez was walking by, and he's like, "Nice, I'm not sure. Did we change the offense? Are we using a fullback now?" And so anyways, but to answer your question, they're really kind of one in the same position. There's some schemes where, we'll be off the ball more, and obviously some schemes will be in line or split out even. So, again, it just goes back to that kind of jack of all trades position.
What's your opinion on the position? We asked Rich this, if you think the fullback position will make a comeback or is kind of a thing of the past or figuring out a different way.
Yeah, I think it kind of just goes back. At least here, Coach has always been really good at utilizing the type of players you have on the team, and obviously that goes to how we recruit and stuff like that. But maybe if there's a bad SOB that is nothing but a fullback and he's really good and can't afford to not be out on the field, then Coach will use it. But yeah, like I said, they just really a title because there are some schemes that would remind you of a fullback, so that we do. So
fans remember obviously Owen Smith being such an integral part
right.
of the offense during Rich's first tenure here.
Right.
Fullback.
Right.
Bad SOB.
Yeah.
But
well,
Owen Smith doesn't really exist right now.
Yeah, and there's like I said, there's certain packages and things of that nature. I know it when we were at Jacksonville State to open up. The very first touchdown Jacksonville State ever had in a bowl game was from a fullback. We lined up in the I formation, and Coach handed it to him. So, like I said, whatever players can do or to their skill set, Coach is going to utilize them.
Seems like a role. I know Colin Brown's on the roster. He played running back here locally in high school. Seems like a type of role he might be able to fit into. What would you do with a player of that sorts? Yeah,
and Colin's been doing a great job, and again, it just goes back to. There's sometimes like this past scrimmage we've put in some formations that are similar to that a fullback would use, but Colin's done a great job of everything we've asked him to do, whether it's line up out wide or put his hand in the dirt, and so we don't want to just put him in that box of okay, you're a fullback only or type. So just like all those guys, he's been doing a good job of kind of learning it all. So
if you come into a recruiting meeting, right, high school player, junior college transfer, and you found what you think is a bad SOB, right? He's 6 foot 250, whatever, right? He's not quite tight end, but not a halfback. what does he have to do that sells the rest of the coaches that, yeah, we got to get this guy?
Yeah, well, I think we want speed on all those skill positions. So we don't try to. We're not a big when it comes to recruiting. We're not a big put people in boxes and say, oh well, his arm length wasn't this, or he wasn't a 6'3", he's only 6 foot. Coach is talking about all the time, like if you can play, you can play. So honestly, the first thing from a recruiting standpoint we're looking for is guys that fit the culture for one, but then the intangibles and but then number two, from a skill set standpoint, it's we want guys that can run. We don't want to recruit guys that basically end up just being right tackles or left tackles once they get here and they're in a weight program and they're eating good and having all that ice cream we have in there. And so we want guys that can be able to run and split out and kind of do it all.
Rich was talking about outside of the quarterback, he thought tight end was the hardest position to master, even more so than offensive line, which I thought was interesting. What are the things that go into that? I mean, when you look at a tight end, some of the things that you need, you don't always see. You have to kind of project a little bit. How does that all work out? How do you work that out with your guys?
Yeah, I think it, again, we ask them to be really good in the run game. We ask them to pass protect sometimes. We ask them to run the whole route tree. So I think when teaching them and trying to get them to learn all areas of the offensive gameplay, we try to make it as simple as possible. Coach does a good job of, it may be the same play to us, but we present it a different way, whether it's formation or whatever. So as much as we can kind of make the teaching similar to another play or the code words to help guys remember that and make it as easy as possible for them. But, a lot of times, like the tempo that we use and the different formations and stuff, it looks harder than it is, but we keep it pretty simple for those guys so we can play fast.
I guess as a coach, you would say that a great tight end is made, but a lot of times they're born.
Yeah, 100%. I was over the break, spring break, I picked up a book. It's called like Blood and Guts or something, and it's just every chapter is about a different tight end, from back in the 50s and a lot of that is you got to kind of have the heart of a lion, I guess, if you will, and kind of comes with the position. So
Lawrence was pretty productive in Northern Illinois.
Mm-hmm.
What's he add to your room?
I think he's an all-around just really good player. He's athletic. He's got speed, like I was talking about. I think in IU, you saw a lot of the stuff that he did in the pass game. I've been really pleased with all the stuff he does in the core here from a run blocking standpoint and a pass protection standpoint. And, he's a guy that, like we were just talking about, that's around that 230-pound range, but plays a lot bigger than that. He's physical. He's kind of got that willingness to go out there and be physical, but he's done a really good job since he's been here.
You played at Alabama under Coach Saban during kind of the dynasty era, I guess. A lot of people would look at it now. What do you learn from that experience or bring with you from that experience to a program like West Virginia as a coach that you feel like is important or critical?
Yeah. When I got to college, I got kind of lucky. I got there in 2011, and that was my true freshman year, and we won a national title. And then the next year we won another one. And, I was just a walk-on and was on the scout team. But I'm sitting there thinking, I'm like, well, hell, this is pretty easy. This is, And then we get to the third year and then went again till my fifth year and was able to win another one. But, people ask me about that time a lot because, like you said, there was a lot of wins and that I was able to be a part of. But, I think in order to get there, it's all the stuff that you don't necessarily see on the field or from a schematic standpoint or whatever. It's that culture building and setting a tone of how you do things. And there's no kind of gray area in the program. Everybody's on the same page and working towards a common goal. And, that's what we're trying to do here. And I think I've said this before, there's no better culture builder than Coach Rodriguez. I mean, there's no everybody from the coaches to the players. There's no gray area. If he coaches everybody. If he sees something, he's going to say something. And it makes it easy to kind of get that culture put together in a hurry because there's no, like I said, gray area. Everybody knows what to do. So.
Well, how would you compare that, Nick Saban, Coach Rodriguez? What are some similarities there? What are some things that you feel like you were easy to adapt to Coach Rodriguez because you spent time under Coach Saban, especially when it comes to building the culture and setting the tone?
Yeah. Well, to kind of what I just said, it's just the over communication, everything, nothing is assumed. Everything's communicated from top down. It's truly run kind of like a military, for lack of a better word. There's a commander in chief, there's generals, there's privates, and so on and so forth. So everybody kind of knows the role they're in, and once you get everybody buying in and to their role, knowing what their role is, you can start to move in the right direction. That was kind of very similar to my time in college.
Ceiling for Ryan Ward.
Ryan Ward's a really good player. Another good transfer we got from North Carolina. Again, athlete. You see him walking around campus, and you're like, man, this is a big body guy. But then, kind of inversely from Grayson Barnes, I knew he could run, block, and do all that stuff, and now getting to see him in camp, he can really run too, and he's got great hands. So sky's the limit for him, and he's obviously got a couple more years than some of these other guys in the room, and so just looking forward to continue to see how he grows and see how we can use him.
Okay, thank you very much.
Awesome.